Hey, welcome back. Let's continue. We start phase two with drawing a chit. So we're going to get two cards. I don't know what the ratio is of good to bad cards in here. I would say with this playthrough, the experiences have been about one third good, one third really bad, and there's like a lot of like that's in the middle. Taliban resurgent in Afghan. Oh, come on. If there's already a rogue state in Central South Asia, there is not. Roll a d10. Minus 2 DRM if we have Special Forces Intel plus any other one military unit. We do not. We actually pulled them out. So let's just roll a d10. And an 8 is not a good roll. Taliban overruns Kabul government. Place a level 2 rogue state. Trending anti-US. And minus 2 public approval. And another minus 1 RWC. Look at that. It's just plummeting. All because of a bad roll. Level 2 rogue state. There you are. Part of me is like, you know what? Let Russia deal with it. If we would have just rolled well, this would have been different. That's what I mean by some of these are in the middle. And there it is. Wildfires burn through the West. Plus 1 domestic crisis. 1 tension counter on the cabinet. Well, there goes all of our diplomatic actions. Or domestic, I mean. 012 APs. I am spending 2 because I'm not dealing with this nonsense. Let's go. I rolled a 4, which becomes a 2. Oh, I need to roll a d6. Let's go. Oh my gosh, I rolled a 1. So I get 0 less. America follows your lead with a massive outpouring. Plus 2 public approval. Then this goes to the 3. Alright, done. Alright, we had a plus, so we get another one. We're going to draw 2 more cards. First one. Invest, divest in Russia. If there's no sanction on Russia and SOE is 6 or higher, they are not 6 or higher. Place a worsening economy counter on Russia. My pleasure. That just takes this off. Add 2 tension counters to Russia and 1 to NATO and 1 to UK. And then this gets discarded. Alright, next card. Terrorism. There's one of them. Plus 1 regional crisis and minus 1 stability in South America. Increase 2 terror groups in Central America. Well, Central America, not South America. That goes to 3. That drops to 4. Increase 2 by 1 level. If there's now a 3 or 4 terror group, government asks for U.S. intervention. If you choose to help, spend 2 APs to deploy 1 Intel Advisor, 1 Special Op. I already have those. 1 U.S. Air Force unit to Central America now. Sure, I'll spend 2 APs. That lets me put an Air Force down there. I do have a special op and an intel. I don't know what's the benefit of having more than one. Let me check. Place a trending pro US and make 2 immediate intel checks. Alright, intel check 1. I can't remember what the intel check is. Is that a military check? I think it is. So I get a -2 because, or no, I get a -1 if there's US intel advisor counter in the region, and if I had an intelligence counter, which I don't. So I get a -1. On a 1 to 4, we succeed. So I'm at a 4. So I do succeed, and I put one of them on there, and then we can try again. That one failed. Then place a US military footprint counter if you choose not to help. And then this gets discarded. Alright, it's something. Okay, that's all the cards. We got to draw again. Now we get 3 more. Holy crap, we're going through these cards. 1, 2, 3, and in case you're keeping track at home, there's always 1 terrorism card in each deck, and then we added 2 more, and we've already drawn 1 of them. So there's potentially 2 more in here. Police shootings. +1, domestic crisis. Move bipartisan. That's it. I definitely don't like that one. Another natural disaster. +1, domestic crisis. Fudge. Just like that. 1 tension counter on POTUS. We will spend 2 APs. 1, 2. Man. No further effect. Increase 1 box of the U.S. strategic capability for naval forces or air forces. Your choice. I'm going to do naval forces. +2 public approval. Place 1 tension counter on China and Russia. So we did get a good one out of that. But yeah, I forgot. We got to resolve this. So we basically got hammered so hard domestically with all those chits that we went from having 0 domestic issues to a failure before I got to take a single action. And that's brutal. I mean, there was nothing I could do to mitigate any of that. Alright, so because Homeland Security is our #1 focus, we get a -1 to this roll. There's no level 3 or 4 terror groups, so we're okay there. Lower is always better, and we got a 6. A 6 minus 1 is 5. This is not a domestic raid. This is a domestic failure. So let's go back. I get a minus 1 because my approval is 60% or more. I get a minus 1 because the media relations is 6 or more. So I get a minus 2. I don't have domestic focus for my attributes. There's no lingering issue thing. So I get a minus 2. So that 6 becomes a 4. U.S. media presents you unfavorably. Minus 2 public approval. Minus 1 media relations. And then we do a cabinet effectiveness check. So we drop by 2. We drop by 1. We roll. I pass. This is a 7. That would have caused this to come off. That's if I would have failed. Alright, so this drops back to a 1. But this does go to a 1 there. Okay, we did all 3. Now we get any 3 actions. There's a lot to do. Suddenly. Number 1, I need to get this to 0 before we get to here, the legislative segment. Well, actually, no I don't, because I already have one that I need to pass. I still would like to get it to 0 before we get to there. I think we have time, because there's domestic actions here. I do need to remove these tension markers before we get to here, which we still have time. So I'm going to make these 3 actions focus globally. We're in a new activation segment, so we're going to do 2 summits. And then we're going to try to remove an influence marker. So let's move influence. Or roll to 2. Done. So China goes down. And we could do that here too. I was just trying to get this done first. So summit number 1. We're going back back to the drawing board. We're going to go to Russia first. And do like before, improve relations. This one's a 7. They want an improving economy counter. Sure. And then what we get is a pro-US. And then we roll because we finished our conference successfully. An 8's not super nice. We remove 1 tension. If it would have been anything lower, we would have been able to actually improve our relationship. So once again, we don't do great. Okay, next we're going to do China. Number 1. And first thing, our relationship is already tip-top. So maybe we don't want to do this, because the whole reason for doing this is to improve our relationship. I am not going to do a China summit, because we're at the top. So I am going to take that action back. We're just going to do Russia for now. So now I got another action, which I can use to remove an influence. And I'm actually going to remove one of these, because I just realized I need to prevent them from making a base. And with a 5, we most certainly do that. So get rid of one of those. And then this goes down. Alright. We do a core check. Our public approval is through the roof, so no need to do that. Next thing we do is a terror chaos roll. It is chaos, which I think I like less. Every time we do this, the chaos is always more damaging. The terror one does tend to be more home, but I don't know. Alright, first thing they do is increase the conflict track somewhere. I rolled a 1. India, China. Just proves a 2. Next thing they do is we roll a d10. Roll a 1 again. Draw a new cascading event card from the unused pile. Apply the results and just basically play it like normal. Shuffle, shuffle. North Korean infiltrators attack South Korean infrastructure. Increase their conflict track by 1 and add 2 tensions to South Korea and 1 to Japan and China. North Korea, South Korea goes up. If you wish, you can spend 2 APs to move a Marine unit from military assets and move any one carrier from the Indian Ocean or CONUS to the Asia Pacific region. I do have a Marine that I can give them. So that's going to be specifically assigned to South Korea, right? Yes. Move any one carrier from Indian or CONUS forces to the Asia Pacific region. We already have a carrier there. This is saying I can add another carrier. I don't see why not. I mean, I guess I could put a carrier in one of these places to help with Africa, South America, or, here. Like, why do I need 2 carriers there? Well, because of China. I don't think I need them home. That's the biggest thing that's going through my mind. And then we have these also here. I mean, look at this. I have light army everywhere. Okay. I'm so sorry. We've had like this really long silence. I thought I paused the video. I apologize. So again, my apologies for that major pause. I I have the ability to pause recording, so I can go get a drink, whatever. I paused recording here, and I apparently didn't actually pause it, so there was this big long gap of nothingness. My apologies to you. Good thing I wasn't like running around revealing dirty secrets of politicians or whatever at the same time. All right, because I'm Mr. President, right? Um, so, anyways, we move up to here. Allied Group. One of my funnest parts of this game is doing this. I like seeing how the rest of the world is responding and reacting, and it's not just United States versus everybody else. I do really appreciate this. They incorporate it. Also, I want to address one of the things I was doing while I was on that long pause is there's a viewer who's apparently very upset that I am not looking at the FAQ. I did look at the FAQ actually after that viewer was upset. They believe that the play balancing of this game has completely changed and I'm not representing the game properly. I, I did ask for some examples. I looked at the FAQ. I frankly don't, other than clarifying some edge cases, I really don't think it does anything to change the balancing to this game. The FAQ told me that I could do this. When I get to the top, I can put that on it, so it's like almost like an extra bump. Okay, so that was one thing. The FAQ told me that the DARPA counters get removed every time. Okay, that's another. The FAQ taught me whatever else it taught me was so unimportant. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. Um, so I'm sure there were a few other things that it taught me, but it didn't like change the balance of anything in this game. It's not like the designers made a huge mistake, and this isn't Warfighter from DVG. And I'm sorry, DVG, for picking on you because I really love you as a company, but you've had some horrible deployments lately. Your QA for your documentation is poor. GMT, on the other hand, these documents are excellent. I just wish they were more of them here. I would pay money for it, like I said. But anyways, enough of that rant. Let's do Group A. I got it open. The EU goes first. So we got to roll for some economic stuff. So we rolled a 5. Economic Summit strengthens the Eurozone. Place economy approven on the Eurozone. And that's it. So that gets knocked off. Then they're going to do okay, so the EU only does one check. I thought they did 2 checks. Oh, they do 2 checks. Alright, so that first roll of a 5 was the world economic trend. So that was no change. I gotta roll again for what happens to the EU. So we rolled an 8. So instead of that marker going away, they actually get a crisis. Okay, now we activate NATO. NATO, of course, is going to get 2 actions. We have quite a few tension markers there. We could try to reduce all of those because last time we left them all there and we learned the hard way. We have these terror groups that need to be dealt with. NATO has automatic success and they get two automatic bumps. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're going to do an intel, which puts both of them up there. And then they can do a raid, or we can remove tensions. So we have 1, 2, there's only 3 of them. If I don't get rid of 2 of these, they're going to get 2 back. I'm going to leave it be. We're going to go after the terror groups. So, or should I? No, I'm going to go after 2 tension markers. Alright, so they just have 1. It's a +1. And they will get 1 back. They rolled a 5. It becomes a 6. A 7 because US is at war. And then I forgot what I was looking for. 8, 9. Because it gets a +2 from this. So the 9 for them is they deploy troops. Adds 2 strength to the force box of any war in the Eurozone or involving the US. So we get 2 more points of strength, which I think does make this now 5-1. And then it increased the relative strength with Russia by 1. I think they're already strong. Oh, no, they're not. They can go down to +2. So they will do that, and that will force Russia to blow in action. Alright, that's good. Next up is South Korea. We have 1,000,000 tension markers in South Korea. So we're going to spend, they get an extra action point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to spend all 3 actions just removing tension. Alright, now we're going to roll for them. We rolled a 1, they get a -1. Because they had no tension. So they're at 0. +1 for every 2 on North Korea. 1, 2. So they're back to a 1. And then half rounded up over here. I guess we could have spent some actions to try to reduce this. So this would be 2 more, so that puts them to a 3. At a 3, decrease the conflict status by $1. So actually, they improved that. That's excellent. I think that was a good action, actually, for them. Next up is Iran. So they do get a -1, which is excellent. And I got to figure out how that works for them. So activate Iran. They have a -1 on them. Does that just change their die roll? Let me check. Okay, the -1 means something on a rogue state. Give me a second, I'm going to go look it up. Okay, so it took me a long time. I can't find it in the rulebook, but I do find it on BoardGameGeek. A -1 AP means that they lose their turn, so I don't even roll for them. I don't know if it means I replenish the tension tokens or what. I'm going to assume that because of passage of time, this is going to reduce to 2. So I'm going to just, since I didn't look at them, I'm just going to delete 2, because that is part of the thing. You do their turn, and then they get half. And so their turn was wasted because they had a -1 AP. So that was very well done, and I can't even remember what we did to put that on there. I think that was because we cyber attacked them. All right. Oh, I think we got to do unstable states. I think I prematurely closed the book. Iran is at war, so we would have rolled for them being at war, but because of that, that didn't happen. So they're going to roll for Central and South America, unstable states. South has 0, Central has 0. So there's no rolls. Okay, we move on. The UN is acting, and as you guys know, we have that on here, so let me fast forward to the UN. Okay, so now they're going to try to reduce a regional crisis value. We have this one's at a 3, so they're going to try to reduce that. Rolled a 6, that succeeded. Next, infrastructure. Lowest stability, we have a 4, another 4. We have 3 of them, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be the last region, and it succeeded, so stability goes up to 5. Next, youth empowerment. Again, 1, 2, well, actually, it's lowest stability, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Middle East. That also worked. Wow, they're succeeding left and right here. Decrease a level 2 or 3 terror group by 1 level. So we'll remove that down to 1. Peace talks on a civil war. Choose one or a civil war ceasefire and then apply the results. The only civil wars out here are the ceasefires. These ones have the huge bonuses to them. And then this one does not. So, oh, excuse me. Which one should I go after? I think these ones are easier to eliminate. This one could come back. I don't get any modifiers, I don't think, here. It's the region with the lowest stability, so I don't get a choice. It's this one. Alright, so let's roll. A 2 is excellent. As you can see, 2 or less is permanent peace, and we're getting a -2 because of the peacekeepers. So this civil war goes away. And any use decrease regional crisis by 1. That's even better. Regional crisis goes down again. So UN jammed out all 4 successes there. So then we can do US initiated actions. So we can spend an AP, and we will. And we can also grab one of these, and we will. And we get to do 2 actions. So we can try to reduce nuclear stuff. They're at 2. Or we can put sanctions, which I've not been a fan of, but Russia's annoying me. And a sanction will help them to their economies to cool off. Or we can get rid of these civil wars, which I think is the better way to go. We can also try to decrease a conflict track and remove 2 tensions from both sides. But there is one at Russia and Ukraine is at 4. Alright, let's try to resolve the peace in Africa. We're going to go for the easier one. A 2 is excellent. This goes away. This goes away. They have permanent peace. And, well, their regional alignment would go down by 1. But it's already there. That would have been my main action. I don't know. I think de-escalate looks good. So we get a 1 to our roll. We rolled an 8, which that's a fail. It's a UN request, spent 1 AP, I get a -1. So a lot of good that did us. Oh, and see, there's a star here. If this was a US initiated action, gain 1 goodwill counter if you spent an AP, which I did. So we actually get a UN counter back because we ended a civil war by nature of our goodwill. All right, fair enough. Next, we perform 3 domestic actions. And you already know what I'm doing here. The first one is we're going to go after this. I rolled a 1, which I don't think there's like an uber result if I get a 1. But we wanted to get that down to a 0. Yeah, that just needs to pass against the cabinet effectiveness. We do get 1 public approval for that. And we get a second action, which I'm going to spend an AP for to remove both of these tension markers. And then a third action, we can try to reduce that lingering issue, or we can go after the CONUS. I want to go after the lingering issue, so let's roll. A 4 is probably good enough. We have to pass cabinet effectiveness, so we do. No issues there. +3 public approval for doing that. So that puts us back to the top. Alright, that was our 3 actions. Bang, 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 but they were a good use of them. Next thing we do is we draw a chit. We're getting 2 more cards. I have to confess, some of these cards they're very swingy. And some of them have been like the best thing that ever happened to us. Hold on. This was supposed to go in the 2 box. Here's card number 1. Roll a d10 to determine the nation involved. 5. Pakistan. Increase India's conflict track with that country by 1 box and 2 tensions on India. And 2 tension counters on China if China is involved. +1 regional crisis. That hurts because I was getting ready to... I wanted to start removing stuff. Next action. There's another one. Place 1 tension counter on POTUS. Make a Homeland Security check. Of course I fail. Decrease Homeland Security again by 1 box. Public approval by 2. Then Israel strikes back. Add 1 tension to Israel. Decrease 1 terror group in the Middle East by 1 level. Or remove a level 1. Israel must choose Intel as their next ally action. They're just getting destroyed in the Homeland Security front. Okay, that is done. War progress. We shall start with war number 2. This is air-ground war, 3-to-1 odds. We rolled a 1. That is going to be an excellent outcome. They don't get any bonuses or anything because there's no influence markers. It's not a U.S. war. It's air ground, and it is a 3-to-1 odds. We rolled a 1. 2 to the left and 2 defender losses. So that alone was enough to make a Saudi Arabia win. Either by this or by that. So that's excellent. And let's get everything off before I start to forget that the war's over. So Saudi Arabia just beat Iran, which is amazingly good. +1 regional crisis. A U.S. ally won. Move their conflict track back to the 2 space. Adjust 1 in the allies' favor. Put a +1 AP on the ally, +1 public approval. If it was very close, we get 1 legacy point. Okay. Then there's a section called Iran loses. Remove 1 Iran influence counter. Place a -1 AP counter. This will force them to skip their next activation. That's where it's written. It's right here in the war outcome, but it's not written on the other thing. For either nation, decrease their tracks. So this is excellent. So they get another lose a turn. And they're, well, they're already as low as it goes. This goes away. Yeah, that was actually quite wonderful. All right, and then we go to our war. So we have this 12, right? I'm just going to put him here. 8, 4 is 12, and then 9, 21 to 4. So we're at 5-to-1 odds. I need to roll a 1 like they did. And 8 is not a good roll. So it's a guerrilla war. I automatically get a +2 because it's a guerrilla war. So that becomes a 10 now. I do have a intelligence in the region, so it's down to 9. I have both the Spec Ops and Intel, so it becomes an 8. I have a U.S. Air Force, but I don't think I have a light. No, I don't. So I just reduced it to an 8, and that's it. An 8 is not going to cut the mustard. That's a horrible outcome. But we are 4 or more. So it moves 1 left. And we both take 1 loss. So we'll do it that way. Or we can put them up here to show. That works as well. So we do, we are 1 there, but we're not done. Nobody won. And that roll of an 8 was horrible. Anything else would have been fantastic. So what ends up happening then is because nobody won, we have to deal with the consequences. So first of all, Middle East goes up. Military footprint goes on. Then I have to read there as if no one wins. Because I think I have to do stuff. If neither side wins, and the US is involved, I have to spend 2 AP It adds +1 to the strength of the war, and then I could get an improving economy. If I don't spend the AP, I lose 2 public approval and have to put another tension marker on the POTUS. So I will spend the 2 AP. I don't need any of this, any of the other stuff. So I'm just doing it to prevent more tension markers. Although it only costs me 1 AP to remove those. Yeah, I'm going to leave it be. We'll spend the 2. Technically, my strength does go up to 4, so it added 1 strength back. And that's the issue with having a lingering war. So it won't be until here that I can possibly end that war now. Alright, any 4 diplomatic or military actions. We already used the Russia summit. We agreed we don't need to do a China summit, although they do have a rogue state. Yeah, we could actually have them attack that rogue state. Sort of like what happened down here. Well, let's start with, I'm going to remove this influence marker. Done. So that moves them down by 1. We got this situation, which I would have to move the crisis down. This one, the crisis is 1 too high. This one, we are positioned to remove. I'm going to try to remove the Russia influence. A 7 doesn't do it. I'll spend an AP to reroll. A 10 doesn't do it either. Alright, I'm going to do it again. A 1 does do it. So we got Russia down. I have 2 actions left. I'll spend 1 to reduce the regional crisis, which worked. And then I gotta decide, am I going to do a summit? And the answer is yes, I will do a summit with China. I don't need to improve my relation with them, but one of the things I want to do is we're going to go after a rogue state. And I'm going to have them do it instead of me. So we get 3 actions. The first one is contain a rogue state. So let's roll to see what their demands are. A low number is better. They want an influence counter in the region. Sure. I should have removed one of their influence, because now they're going to get a base. Then we place a -1 AP on the rogue state. -1 to regional crisis. Oh, I should have done this first. So remember, I spent an action to reduce the regional crisis. I'm going to take that action back. This is just me not knowing the game well enough. Decrease the largest terror group in the region by 1 level. Okay, I'm going to move this down so we know that that goes with that, not with India. Okay, so yeah, and then I'm going to use my action that I did for reducing this to remove that. I'm just going to do that ahead of time. Okay, we still got 2 more things we can do with China. We can do anti-terror. Nope. We control North Korea's nuclear ambitions. Mediate a civil war ceasefire. Stabilize a region. This could be Africa or South America. They're all pretty stabilized right now. I could try to improve relations. What the heck else are we going to do? Alright, we're going to... See, the thing is if I go after these terror groups, which is an option, they're going to want me to put an influence counter in the region. Oh, you know what? If I remove sanctions on China, it removes sanctions that China has, but it removes attention from our cabinet, which is interesting. So we can, yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to roll for that. I got a 5. China offers to ease import restrictions. Place an improving economy counter on the U.S. track. That's just something that they're offering to do this. We already have that covered. So we remove any sanctions on China. There aren't any. But we're going to go ahead and remove one tension from China. And then we get to remove this. So that saves us an action. And it gives us a success. So that way when we do the end thing, we got to still do one more. It's crazy. I don't want to give them... A lot of these reduce regional crisis, but the regional crisis is already reduced. There's no civil wars anywhere to manage, so we can't have them help us there. We contain the rogue state like we said we would. The anti-terror campaign is really one of the only things that they can do for us, but they want to put a influence no matter what I roll. The other one is just improve relations, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I can at least say I have a success. And they rolled 4. They see it in their best interest as well. And then what that does is I put this on. So that way it's going to take a lot more for it to go backwards. Alright, so then we have 3 successes. We roll 6 against the table. Plus 3 public approval. Remove 2 tensions. And then trending pro-US. I mean, if anything, it was really good to get rid of the tension markers. Yeah, if we ever would have ended the war, I think our Congress would go up. But yeah, okay, it is what it is. We did... let's see. Yeah, we did our 4 actions because I jammed in my 1 extra action to remove their influence, which is very necessary because you got this coming. And you know China's going to go. So last but not least, we got SOE impact. That's here. So here you can see the +1 RWC. We're going to get 2 APs. The public approval will go up if it's not already there. And we get to do 2 economic assistance, which is we can make somebody very close, or we can do 2 pro-US. So like for example, we can do this one for 1, which gets that moved up. And then we're probably going to put this somewhere. I think we should put it... We're just going to get rid of that one. So we did it in the Middle East. I don't think there's any other effect. Yeah, that's it. Alright, thanks for watching. Stay awesome.